Welcome to D-ConneXion TV. I'm Donzale Powell, and today we are going to be talking about the legal industry. Very exciting, you already know. So I want to thank our panel, and I'm going to let them each introduce themselves. Let's go ahead and start with you.
I'm Stephen Stewart. I'm a partner in Smith Curry's Atlanta office.
My name's Sarah Carson. I'm a partner in the Raleigh office.
My name's Jeannie Harrison. I was in the Atlanta office until June. I've moved to the Nashville area, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. So I'll tell you, I'm excited to learn and hear more about law and find out ways that firms are able to help people. I think that's really important. So from your experience, do you think people are typically nervous or anxious when talking to lawyers? I just wanted to ask that kind of myself, because to me, I think it can be a little intimidating. So what's your thoughts?
So our goal is to never have anyone be nervous talking to us. I think it's important to remember we are here to help. We're always on people's sides, client side, and we actually do a lot of pre-litigation work, just helping people negotiate their construction contracts and work out deals on the front end where you don't have the confrontational adverse nature. And then, of course, we are here for you during litigation and taking things to court. And at that point, we're really just an advocate for our clients. And there's no point should they feel nervous talking to us.
Yeah, I think sometimes people, the intimidation comes because they're scared to disclose information. But even for myself, I'm a surety bond broker, and I tell them all the time, we would much rather you be transparent. Just lay it on the line. We're, like you said, we're here to help, and let's work through whatever it is so that you can avoid, or at least we minimize, whatever problems that you might have. So I completely understand. Any thoughts from you all on that, or you feel pretty much the same?
Very similar thoughts in terms of, I think sometimes people have an idea of what to expect in terms of what they've seen on TV, and it's usually kind of a acrimonious relationship. But if you're contacting us, we want to support you, and we want to do what's best for you. So we have your best interests in mind. So we always want to make someone feel comfortable and also confident.
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes people also, they disconnect between the attorney, the lawyer, and that you're still people. You're still regular. You still go out. You still eat hamburgers and all of that. And so they only focus on that. So any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think how we can best serve our clients is in a partnership fashion. So, make sure that we have trust at the outset, and that we're doing everything we can to protect their interests. And at the end of the day, it's mutually beneficial.
Yes. Sounds good. So tell me about your company. I want to hear about the company, and then also the roles that each of you play, because I'm sure that they differ in some aspects. So just tell me about that.
Smith Curry & Hancock was formed in 1965. So we've been around for a very long time. And in fact, we were one of the first firms to have a special concentration in construction law and government contracts in the United States. So we were trailblazers in that regard, and our firm services the construction industry in terms of helping the suppliers, the subs, all GCs, every single step. We want to help each party, each industry, each company succeed. And Smith Curry, in terms of the size of clients, we have small businesses all the way up to Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
And we're very excited and honored because Chambers USA named Smith Curry the construction law firm of the year.
Oh, wow.
Which is
for
the entire nation. So we're very, very proud of that. And in terms of, we have offices, I should say, across the United States. And I'm out of the Raleigh office. I'm a partner there, but I'm also licensed in Georgia and DC. And in terms of my role, I've been practicing for 20 years.
Okay.
And I really see it as being the attorney and the counselor of law. So in the attorney aspect, I'm there to help clients with their contract language, make sure it's as positive and limit the liability as possible, get them through disputes. But in the counselor of law position, I want to make sure I'm empowering my clients through knowledge. And one of those ways I do that is by going into the actual companies, in-house meetings where we talk about that specific company and what they can do. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
So we can provide them information from those at the job site all the way up to the corporate offices with information that helps each person contribute to the success. So I see my role in both of those ways, but ultimately to further the goal of the business and the motto of making sure the project's delivered on time and on budget.
Right. So you kind of answered a couple of questions that had popped in my head. Different size companies, so having the flexibility and the range of professionals that can kind of cater to those, because they can be drastically different.
Very much.
And then also when you say counselor, to me, and reviewing contracts, that brings to mind kind of assessing the risk. Just really going through, having that next pair of eyes that is looking at it with a little bit different lens that can bring things to your attention that the regular everyday person might miss.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll go next. Like I said, I'm a partner in the Atlanta office. I went to law school in Knoxville. So I'm licensed in Tennessee and Georgia and also DC. We do quite a bit of work in Tennessee. And I've done personally quite a bit of work in Tennessee. Everything from work at the Memphis airport over to in Knoxville. So, we do pride ourselves in being client-driven and client-focused. I try to do that every day. I just try to add value to the equation to help my clients out. Before law school, I was actually a project manager in a construction company. So I've got some unique background, I think, that offers some good lenses to the clients to really be able to speak their language, to understand the issues, and hopefully mitigate risks, through a combination of both legal practice and also business background.
Okay. Yes, that's amazing. I think that, to me, if I was a client, that would make me feel more connected, that you understand some of the issues that happen. I know there's basically always something happening. You're putting out fires constantly, still trying, like you said, trying to get the project done on time. And so you can kind of get a glimpse of those aspects, and they feel, I'm sure that helps them feel more connected. For you, Jeannie?
I was in Atlanta practicing law there for 6 years. I moved to the Nashville area in June. I have my application with the Tennessee Bar pending right now, so I'm allowed to practice while pending. I'm really just happy to be here. It's coming back home from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I went to law school in Knoxville at the University of Tennessee. And I'm just really happy to be back in Middle Tennessee and gaining clients here, building a book. And I'm excited about all the development and construction happening in Nashville. There's a few cranes. I don't know if you saw them.
Just a few. Yes. Okay. Amazing. So I would like to hear from you all's perspective, what are some of the kind of hot topics or current trends that you're seeing happening in the industry? And how are you able to help with those things that are going on now?
I can take that one. Sure. We do, as Sarah mentioned, we represent a wide variety of contractors. We find ourselves helping a lot of contractors interested in like federal government contracting. It's a pretty complicated area of law, and contractors can stub their toes if they don't have wise counsel throughout the process. There's a lot of recent False Claims Act liability discussion out there. That could be anything from the Biden infrastructure plan that's coming out. Billions of dollars of infrastructure money that'll be spread out across the country. And contractors should be, and a lot of our clients are aware of a lot of the concepts and liabilities inherent with doing federal government contracting work. When there's federal money involved, you have to really watch out for that. There's also a lot going on right now with cybersecurity. There's obligations of contractors to have certain levels of cybersecurity protections. And there's also potential False Claims Act liability. The Department of Justice just came out that they're going to start essentially using the False Claims Act to penalize or punish contractors that misrepresent their cybersecurity. If you don't have necessarily the system in place to guard off against hacks and whatnot, and you misrepresent your capabilities to the government, there's significant liability there. So we see a lot of our contractors naturally concerned with the liability side of doing business with the federal government. And, a lot of my practice specifically kind of revolves around that. Okay.
So with the federal projects and things that they're trying to get into, I do agree. Even so much so that my colleague, we had a client that we were working with, and they were needing some type of legal assistance just to make sure that they were on the right track, wanting to get more into federal projects. And it was very clear you need someone that is savvy in that area. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the client, especially if it's a smaller business, they can't afford to waste time. They need what they need, and they need someone that knows it so well. They're not being billed extra hours for someone figuring it out. Right. So I appreciate your words on that. Mm-hmm. And then just from real quick, your thoughts on how do the average contractors find out about these trends? Like, you all are in the know, but how would someone else, is there a place that they can go to stay up to date on what's coming out?
Yeah, our firm specifically, we spend a lot of time and energy on articles and publications, whether that's blasting it out to our clients via email lists or having an internal repository of articles and information. One of the reasons we were ranked the top law firm in the country was because we took COVID so seriously. And we spent a lot of time and energy on making sure that we're keeping track of all the different requirements inherent with COVID, essential workers, so on and so forth, keeping on track of that, and really just trying to disseminate that information to our clients as efficiently as possible.
Okay. And you may have already touched on this, I'm not sure, but are there any updates or regulations that you can share that haven't already?
Regarding COVID, there is the vaccine mandates that have come out. There was the executive order from Biden, and that's going back to federal projects. And it's your contractors, your subcontractors, anyone working on the federal products. There is a vaccine mandate by December 8th that has come out. We also are waiting for all private companies with 100 and more employees. OSHA will be releasing their guidance on what these companies have to do. We anticipate it's going to follow along similar to the current mandates out for the healthcare industry, but at this point has not come out yet. So we are all anxiously awaiting to see what guidance there is.
Got you. Okay. Sounds good. Now, what made you, and again, some of these things I just kind of am curious about. So what made you choose a firm that focuses on the construction industry? It kind of makes sense for you if you were already in that realm, but for you all, how did you come about with that?
My introduction was actually through my family's experience in the military. Mm. Both my parents served in the Army, and my grandfather was a lieutenant general, and his focus was logistics. And from a young age, I started to learn about how the different facets of actually complying with the government contracts and everything that goes into, it's not a one lane road. There's a lot of things that go into it. Mm-hmm. And after my first year of law school, I worked at a firm in Washington, D.C. in their government contracts group. And from there, I was introduced to construction law and really enjoyed it. And that's something when you're growing up thinking about being a lawyer, that's not something you really have really heard about, know that that's an option. So it was such a wonderful discovery to know that, wow, I could do this and do something that I love, that I understand, and that I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good.
So when I was in law school, my husband was actually selling crushers and screeners throughout the entire state. And it was through that and through him, I started to learn about, there's a whole area of construction law. Took a construction law class in law school. And then when Smith Curry came to interview at the University of Tennessee, I met a partner there, Phil Beck, and he is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. and he invited me to come down, spend the summer, learn more about the firm, construction law. And it's just, honestly, the people at Smith Curry is really what got me and to stay. And I just learned about construction law through the firm, and just the level of experience that is at the firm. Chances are, if there is a law, a book, something up and coming, someone at the firm has written about it, or knows the person that does.
I love it.
And so that's really a good introduction and a good place to stay because of that.
Yeah, so I love that, because number one, it sounds like the exposure happened, because like you said, and I talk about this all the time because my background was workforce development. People don't know what they just don't know. So if you, on TV, you see, like I said, you see a traditional lawyer, you see the doctor, you see those things, but you don't see all the other, like even in construction, there's so many positions in there that have nothing to do with swinging a hammer. And so until you kind of are exposed to that, they're like, oh, well, I might like to do that, and find out more. So I like that they kind of took you under their wing to kind of, I guess, like you said, kind of expose you, teach you more. So that's great. Now, on a side note to that, we chatted a little bit earlier. You said that you were a part of Women in Construction.
Yes.
So a lot of times, how does that look? What's the dynamics even within your offices, men versus women? How diverse is it? Just give me a grasp of what that kind of looks like for you all.
Well, Jean and I are both members of NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction. And that is a organization that Smith Curry really encourages and supports.
Good.
And in addition to that, Smith Curry has a diversity committee where they are wanting to make sure that they are recruiting and retaining attorneys, women attorneys, minority attorneys. And this isn't just for our firm. We have a lot of experience in terms of helping small businesses, women-owned small businesses, minority-owned small businesses in the Mentor Protege program through the Small Business Administration. And in general, a lot of us on our spare time do volunteer work. I work with an organization called Hope Renovations, and they help women who have low-wage jobs learn the trade skills to be part of the construction, have a construction career. And right now there is a deficit of skilled workers, and this is an opportunity to not only survive but thrive. And because so often women, you don't necessarily growing up are told, wow, have you ever considered doing this type of work? And it's a great opportunity and a great skill to have. And it's something that Smith Curry is committed. And that's something I'm very proud of, because not necessarily, it's not a uniform approach. And so we're very lucky that that is a priority.
Well, what's been apparent, obviously, growth is going to continue. And I think that in the marketplace, like you said, it's introducing those women. You typically, unless your father or maybe an uncle did construction and you're able to see that and be around it. Now, some of those people go up and they have their own construction firms and things like that and kind of take off. But otherwise, like I said, it's just that lack of exposure and things like that. So I love that you're trying to at least bring to the forefront. Let's try to give these opportunities, try to make people aware, try to see how we can support. So I appreciate you doing that. Any other comments from anybody?
One other thing I'd like to add is it's just the firm is very encouraging to go out, market, meet people. And so we're actually, Madison Kellogg, who's another attorney at our firm, and I are going to go out to Arizona in February, and we're hosting a workshop for ENR's top young professionals to teach them about contracts and specifically post-COVID material shortages and all the issues that have arisen in the last 2 years, kind of how to navigate that and negotiate that on the front end to really protect yourself, your business, and the bottom line.
Great. So, kind of changing speed a little bit. I know some of you already mentioned where you're actually from, or you being from Nashville, or going to school, Knoxville, things like that. So, tell me a little bit more about your experience in Tennessee. Like, even if you don't live here, when you get to visit here, kind of what are some of the things that you think, I got to do this when I go? Anybody?
I think we could all fill that one up. Yeah. I mean, for me, I was working in project management in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I frankly looked around the whole country and asked myself where I want to plant my roots. And Knoxville was it. It did end up taking me to Atlanta, but I love the Southeast. I'm from Indiana, a small town just outside of Indianapolis. So I really appreciate, frankly, how much similarity there is to Tennessee feeling as it was to Indiana, where I grew up. And there's a ton of opportunities in business, but it still feels like a small town, even Nashville growing at the pace it's growing, which I just love. And I don't think you can replicate that anywhere in the U.S.
Okay, good, yeah.
I've enjoyed the food, I have to admit. So I grew up in Kentucky, and which I guess we're known for the Kentucky Fried Chicken, but realized that chicken could go to a whole new level in this area. So I've enjoyed the food and, of course, getting to know everyone. And the character, speaking for Nashville, the architecture and everything is so beautiful. And I really appreciate that. But I really appreciate also the chicken.
Yeah. For you, Judy?
So right now I live in Smyrna, Tennessee, from Murfreesboro originally. And every once in a while, my husband and I will book a hotel here in Nashville and go out. And we do have to go out on Broadway. I know it's the touristy thing, honky tonk and do all of that. But then also it's nice. You could go 45 minutes south and there's Bell Buckle and Shelbyville and all those smaller towns, the Tennessee Walking Horses. Bell Buckle Cafe is a place to be. The arts festival that they have there every year. It's always nice to do.
Yeah, good. So just let me know, are there any other initiatives or things that you all wanted to share about Smith Curry that will give people a sense of any programs or initiatives, anything that you haven't mentioned yet? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything.
We do a lot of, as we had talked before, we all just came back from something called an update seminar where we invite clients to come to our offices. And this happens not only in the Atlanta offices, but through all of our offices, and to really address some of those new issues that are confronting the construction industry and provide them the tools. And so one thing that I'm really proud of in working with Smith Curry is the impact and the emphasis of providing information to clients, keeping them updated, because that only supports their needs, supports their business goals, and you're at a disadvantage if you aren't aware. And so that is a priority in terms of keeping our clients aware. We've got legal alerts. Whether or not you subscribe, you can always go on the website. So if there's an issue such as the supply chain issue, the escalation of prices for a lot of these materials, probably someone's written an article on it. And all of our information ends with a practical application. It's one thing to say, here's the new law. We emphasize on, okay, this is how it will impact you, and this is how best to address it, embrace it in your business.
I think that was exactly what I was about to question. For you, I'm sure you've got all these nice legal terms that us regular folk do not necessarily know. So I was wondering, do you break that down and simplify it so that people can, take the time that they need to, but still get the gist fairly quickly so that they then can say, okay, even if they need to go back and say, hey, we need to have a meeting with leadership, we need to take a deeper dive. This is something that we specifically need to pay attention to, because I'm sure some firms need certain alerts and some don't, depending on what type of business that they have. So I appreciate you saying that, because it can, I'm sure, be a game changer that you get left behind or get caught and haven't done something that you're supposed to do all because you weren't paying attention. It can kind of bite you. Bite you a little bit. And then also, with you saying that, as far as you all being very intentional about pushing out information and doing the research, really is what it sounds like. As far as your leadership culture and pushing that down, I like that because you, like you said, you got to stay kind of ahead in order to just continue to be relevant, continue to be win awards and things like that. It really is a game changer for some of these businesses. So I think that really speaks to the leadership that you have there, and that sounds amazing. Yeah. So anything else, or how can people, find out about your company and things like that?
We have a very robust website. It's pretty easy to use. We just frankly went through a pretty significant refresh to increase usability. We have I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. We authored and published 2 textbooks. They're industry standard. They're probably on most construction lawyers' shelves, whether they were in our firm or not. One text specifically is used for in law school to teach construction law. Our theme and our title is Common Sense Construction Law, for the very reasons you're hitting on, which is it can be a very complicated area of law. It can be fast evolving. And our job is, frankly, to help decipher and help really make sure that our clients understand, the risks and the benefits of compliance and all the other intricacies of construction.
And just curious, as far as I know that you have, I'm sure, lots of people that are doing this research and staying up to date. Even internally, how do you all communicate? Because clearly, if you were an attorney, I feel like you like to read, and that everybody doesn't do that as much, especially nowadays. But so is that something that you all just send within internally, so that you all also stay up to date before it gets pushed out? Like, how does that work?
I think on both fronts, we internally, you'll see emails come out with everyone should see this case, look at this. Yes. But also we know within our construction and government contracts groups, certain people have different emphasis in terms of bid protests. So if there's a new law for bid protests, you make sure that the correct attorney sees it, that they may not have seen it. And in terms of getting in touch with us, really just doing if you type in Smith Curry, you'll see not only the website, but how many trade associations that we're involved in. And so we may come across each other in person.
Right. Okay. So, and that kind of brings up a quick question. How are you all still, are you working from home, in office, a mixture? I've been seeing a lot of companies are doing this hybrid, kind of 2 days in, 3 days out type of deal. What does that look like for you all?
We are, frankly, it's more of a hybrid, I think, scenario right now. Okay. It's odd times for sure. We found that everyone has their own work style. I frankly probably work a little bit better in the office than at home. Don't have the distractions of chores, so on and so forth. But we try to have everyone in the office at least 3 days a week with some flexibility around that. That's at least currently how Atlanta's doing it.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I just want to thank you all for coming on again. I appreciate that information, and I'm sure that some of these contractors out here are going to be grasping like, okay, I need to check their website every week and see what's going on, see if I can get on their distribution list. So thank you so much for coming, and thanks for tuning in to D-ConneXion TV, and we'll see you next time.